Hey there, boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today, the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't get this 1989 Chevrolet regular cab short bed four-wheel drive running for the first time in who knows how long. Story on this one was on Facebook Marketplace. It's somebody's abandoned project, failed project. Allegedly, the 350 went bad, and they had a 97 3/4 ton with a 454. And so they decided to swap that out in the interior and who knows what else. I was all excited for a big block, and then once I went and looked at it, not so much. But it's a really clean pickup, super dry. It's got a fair amount of dings in it. It's from California. We're missing one of these wheels. There's just no rust in the cab corners, which is unheard of here, but there's a bunch of these little dingers. It needs a good cleaning. It's got the typical late 80s, early 90s paint that's all kind of flaking off. It's got the ugly mirrors. It is a Silverado, but we got a mess, an absolute mess. We got the new style dash, we got the old style steering column, and a new style, and who knows what we're gonna get into. Ooh, manual windows. You don't see that a ton. We got both grills back here. We got both fan shrouds. I don't know. It's a cool pickup, but it's gonna take some work. I think his dog tried to chew the bumper off. Ooh, this side the paint isn't as good. Little hooey in the door down there. I don't think that's gonna come out, but it's just solid. They get rusty over the rear wheels up here. There's black on the frame from when I hooked onto it and tied it down. Yeah, she's a good rig. We can get rid of these ugly headlights, put the composite ones in. We got a bunch of parts around here. So we got to get this all emptied out and figure out what we got. And then we're going to clean her all up. He did give me the original 350, so we put it in the stand. He said it had no compression, number 7. So Mojo's going to rip into this thing, see what we can get. Duff's going to have a hard time opening that hood because there's no end on the cable. He said the 454 was a manual transmission pickup, and he thinks he got the wrong flex plate. So I don't know. He said something internally versus externally. I think he got a 454 flex plate, and it's for a 4L80 versus a 4L60, and I think those have different bolt patterns. I don't know. The other thing is, we wonder if he didn't forget to take the pilot bushing out of the back of the crankshaft, and maybe the torque converter won't go in that way. But anyway, it's just set in place. He said a year ago he started the swap, but no intake on there. The wire harness is all there. It's not cut up. Yeah, we're missing something that sits right there. What would sit right there? There's your power. Oh, the alternator. The alternator's missing. It's right there. There's a radiator cap there. We're missing a radiator. Fans laying down there. It's just a freaking disaster. So we're gonna do, oh, that's seized up. Hopefully the engine turns over. I just want to get this thing ripped apart, get all the stuff out of it, get it set out, see what we got, figure out which way we're going. We'll tear into that small block just for S's and G's and know what we got. So we got options. I got some GMT 800, is that what they're called? I got some LS pickups. We could LS swap this thing. I got a rolled over 95 extended cab. We could literally take everything out of that pickup. It was rolled over in April. It's now September, so 5 months ago. We could take the wire harness, motor, transmission, transfer case, everything, dash, seats, and put in here. Right now I'm thinking that's the best thing to do. The 454 would be cool, and this is a Vortec 454, but I feel like there's going to be some adaptation stuff going on. We're going to be missing pieces. We don't have that entire 454 pickup. And these 454s, I got one in the rollback. They're not setting the world on fire. They're okay on power, terrible on gas mileage. I feel like a 6-liter with a camshaft would smoke that thing. And so yeah, and it's a little short bed. What are you gonna do? I mean, put some big tires on it, and go through some mud. Doesn't have a long wheelbase for towing. Doesn't have a big cab for hauling people. I don't know. I think LS or Just going back to the old throttle body. I love the throttle body. That little 92 Chevy pickup I got. We just got the AC in that thing working top notch. Drove that thing all the way across Nebraska and South Dakota. Works great. So I think the TBI is the way to go. And then we'll have 454 parts left over for the rollback. What do you think? Instead of cleaning yourself, maybe you could come clean this pickup. We interrupt your regularly scheduled shenanigans to bring you this week's Mortske merch update. So, a lot of people have been asking for the lowlife shirts. They are on the way. People have been asking about the do shirts. Guess what? We just got a fresh batch. These things are hot off the press, ready to go. Get yours at mortske.com. And guess what? We got some new stuff as well. Thanks to everybody who ordered bobbleheads the other week. We thinned out a bunch of those, but we still got a few left. So if you need a Duff bobblehead, hit us up. We'll even autograph the thing for you. No extra charge. Check these guys out. This is, I think, going to be my new favorite ball cap. As you can tell, the do's the old go-to, but the crown, I think it's going to be the new cap. This one's getting a little grubby, and I might be going on a vacation. Not a vacation. I might be leaving here and filming somewhere a little warmer and classier. Next up, we got the lowlife, another fan favorite. These are brand new, hot off the press, limited run of these suckers. So get yours now at mortskerepair.com. And I tell you what, this week and this week only, dates are listed below because Chin's a smart guy. He knows the dates. I'm not a smart guy. Don't know the dates. But everybody who orders a ball cap on those dates, we're going to throw in a Mortske screwdriver. We're going to just randomly grab a screwdriver. It might be the Valentine's Day one. It might be the Mortske Flick one. It might be the Screwed by Mortske Repair. We don't know what it might be, but we're going to throw some in there. Every ball cap order. Doesn't matter if you order 10 ball caps, 1 ball cap, every ball cap order, getting a Mortske screwdriver in there. Get your fresh lid, mortske.com. Now back to your regularly scheduled shenanigans. Show them the engine from this beast, Duff. Mojo's picking away on it, threw all the accessories in there. It had a double roller timing chain. It's been punched 40 over. The cylinders all look pretty good. It's a 4-bolt main. And I've never seen a one-piece rear main seal, which should be 86 and newer, 4-bolt main. Upon closer inspection, it's not a one-piece rear main. So this thing's been bored. It was really milky in the oil pan. So that makes me feel like head gasket, or it sat outside, which we know it sat outside, so we don't know. But check this out. The head gasket was clearly blown out right there on, you guessed it, number 7. So I think that's what their issue was. The lifter's got a little wear, cam's got a little wear. The bearings don't look that bad. I think we might put rings and bearings in it and use this somewhere else. Not go back to this pickup because she's a 4-bolt main. And it does have a lobe on the camshaft for a fuel pump, so we can run a mechanical fuel pump. The valves all look pretty good. We'll just give her a valve job, touch up the heads, maybe find, oh, what are they, 193s? Anyway, so I'm a little bit more excited about this engine. I don't think we're going to put it back in it. I think we'll find somewhere else, but it's bored 40 over, so that's about as far as I feel like going to these. It's an 85 block. We checked the numbers. It's not a 710 block. It's 201 or something like that, or 102. I never heard of one before, but anyway, 4-bolt main, so that's good. So Moto's gonna keep ripping her apart, and we're gonna see how the bearings look and everything else. I don't know if we taken any bearings out yet. What she's turned, we should pop one out. So popping the bearings out, it looks like they are, she's a 10 under, 6 of 98. So the bearings were made in what, June of 98. Where's a rod bearing at? These are starting to show a little bit of copper in there. Hold on, let me take both nuts off and then it'll come apart better. So these bearings got a little bit more wear than the mains. And we got to get all of them apart. Maybe one of these is bad from coolant running through there. There again, she's a 10 under and 4 of 98, so April of 98. So I'm guessing this engine was built in 98, 99, something like that, so 25 years ago. So anyway, good news on the engine. It looks like we could probably use it, and it's better than, I don't know if it's better than a one-piece roommate. Anyway, it's not garbage. The guy said, hey, do you want that engine? I'm like, yeah, I may as well throw it on there. So I'm glad we snagged it because it's got a good bottom end, 4-bolt main. Like I said, it's already kind of punched about all the way out, but there's pieces there, if nothing else. But I'm thinking we could probably throw bearings and rings in it and have a pretty good engine. Respectable anyway. Good enough for the girls we go with. What do you think? We got to get on this thing, huh, Duff? All right, we are back on this OBS. It's been sitting here for too long. Let's say a couple weeks. I think we come to the conclusion, Chin and I, you know, running the show around here, that we're gonna pull this 454 out because we don't know anything about it, and it's just a mishmash of parts, and we don't know what's missing, what is missing. We don't have other stuff that we can throw at this thing. And then we could pull this 454 out and we'll have a spare for the rollback because it's the same thing. And the one in the rollback, while it runs great and seems to work fine, it has like this much oil pressure once it's warmed up and idling. And it's like 20 PSIs at highway speed, you know, so like 2,500 or 3,000 RPMs or whatever. So it wouldn't hurt to have a spare. That engine is like really good inside, but I think somebody did some bad machine work or something. So we'll have a spare. What we do have, I think I talked about it earlier, is I think it's a 95, kind of a 1 year. They're an oddball in between the Vortec and these. They got the newer style dash, but they got the old TBI engines. I think they got like a 1 year only transmission. Anyway, one of the scrap guys that we know, old Johnny, called us and had this rolled over 95 extended cab. It was well maintained, a pretty decent-ish pickup. It hadn't the usual rust, but anyway, it was rolled over. They had like a fresh alternator and some stuff on it. He cut a hole in the fuel tank because he was going to scrap it. Had there not been a hole in the fuel tank, we could have thrown a battery in it and drove it on the trailer. So that being said, I like rollovers. My grandpa was into the salvage business and he liked rollovers and wrecks and fire vehicles because you knew they were running when they were parked. You know, you drag something out of the weeds, you don't know why they put it in the weeds, but when it was rolled over, chances are they were going 30, 40, 80 miles an hour, and the engine was running fine. Hopefully it didn't run upside down. Who knows? But that's what we're gonna do. And that way, we'll have that truck for interior pieces, we'll have it for wire harness pieces, we'll have a spare engine, transmission, drive shaft, all that stuff, and we might have a grill, maybe. I feel like everything was wrecked on that pickup. The interior is getting wet because the door seal, so it'll be it's a good way to get rid of that pickup or get the good parts out of that pickup before it just sits there and rots out back. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, Mojo can't sit still, so Mojo's been working on the 350 out of this thing. I don't remember if we showed you, but it was bored 40 over, had 1010 journals, somewhere in like, what was it, 98, 99? It's been a while since we did this. So anywho, long story short, I made a couple phone calls. There isn't many people that turn crankshafts anymore, and the one person that did said they're like 3 weeks out, and they're 100 miles away, so I would have to drive 100 miles there and back to drop it off, and there and back to pick it up, and wait 3 weeks, and I don't know how much it was gonna cost, and then we would have to wait to see until they got it turned, what size bearings, so then you gotta wait another week after they get it turned, so it'd be a month. So then I got smart and I looked on the Google box. Speedway Motors, you can get a fresh, brand new, standard journal crank shipped to your door for $199. So I did that, ordered some bearings, and a Comp Cam's big mother thumper cam, because I've always wanted one, because the lifters on this one Mojo didn't like. So, that being said, here's our cam. Here's some bearings. Mojo has his little workshop going on over here. Mojo does his things. We don't bother him. When you're putting together something like an engine, you know, brakes, you can take a break, whatever, but when you're putting together an engine, you want to make sure you got everything lubed, you got the right torque specs, you got the right hardware here, where did you set this, where do you do that. So I don't like being bothered when I work on an engine, so we don't bother Mojo, try not to, when he's working on an engine. But anyway, he's got this thing all pressure washed up. There was one like little spot by one of these ports here that the deck surface wasn't the greatest, so we bought good head gaskets, like a $40 set of Felpros, Permaseals or something. I don't know where they're at. They're probably around here somewhere. Here's our fresh new crankshaft. Mojo put rags over this engine last night, and I went and found a trash bag. So it looks like he's got about half the rods in. And he's got the crankshaft in. I got a new Melling high volume oil pump we're gonna stick in it. We're gonna run the old timing chain because it looks in good shape and they don't really go bad, especially since it's got a double roller, right, Duff? All right? Yeah, yeah. We did put new rings in it. Mojo cleaned the ring grooves, put all new rings on our 40 over pistons. Looks like he's got himself some, what's this called? Plasti gauge, checking everything out because Mojo does her right. Got a torque wrench. He's compressing the rings before he slams them in. He's got his favorite flexible Craftsman made in America 3/8 ratchet. He's got his nice little fuel hose sleeves that go over his rod bolt so it doesn't mar up the piston. He's got a rubber hammer to knock the pistons in. And we got a bunch of scrap iron there. Just kidding, there's some good stuff. We got some scrap iron there though. We got a crank that needs to be turned. And the heads, the valves are sunken in. He didn't like the way they looked and they're just smogger heads. So we got some heads upstairs, 993s. I can't remember what they came off of. Probably some engine that we got in here that we tore apart. But anyway, he's already had ground the valves on it and they were sitting upstairs and they're Mojo built, ready to go. Mojo Craft. Get your Mojo Craft decal at mortske.com. So that's what Mojo is doing. Will this engine go in this pickup ever? Probably not, because I hope to have it done before him, but let's be honest, he's gonna have that engine done before then. But then we'll have this old worn out engine sitting around. Anyway, we'll just save that engine for a rainy day. Fresh crank, fresh big mother thumper cam. That's the other thing is these TBIs, fuel injection. I don't know how much capability the computer has, self-learning, and we're not gonna get into tuning this thing. We're just gonna leave it stock. That's the other reason I like just grabbing everything out of the other pickup and putting it in here. The computer's gonna work, the injectors are gonna work. It's all gonna talk to each other. So if we were to put that in there, I don't know if we'd have to delete the cats or what we would have to do. So that engine will be a good engine to throw in some other project, a carbureted project someday, because we're putting carbureted style heads on it too. That's the other thing is the stock intake wouldn't fit from that. And I don't want to get into putting carburetor on it and then having an electric low pressure fuel pump and changing the distributor and all that. We're gonna keep our TBI 1990/95-ish stuff all stock. So that is the update. What I'm gonna do now is take everything out of this bed and the cab and lay it all out and figure out what's garbage, what we're keeping, what's gonna go for parts for another project, what's going back into this, what we need to get off the other pickup. And then maybe we'll wash it and get excited about it, or maybe we'll tear into it and see that this thing is absolutely horrendous and we're just gonna have an engine rebuilt in the corner and this thing's going in the scrap pile. But we need to get at this thing. It's been sitting here for way too long. So, that being said, let's get unloading and make a mess of the shop and then figure out where all this stuff's gonna go. Are you gonna help? Or you just want pets? You just want pets. Oh, where's your big baby? I got work to do. I got work to do. I know you're the star. Oh, give me a hug and tell me good luck. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. All right, I got work to do, man. Sorry. Can't be loving up on me on the job. Dogs. All right. You gotta give them their attention. They're like a woman. Otherwise they get all pouty all day. All right, let's get to work. We got work to do. Okay? All right. You ready? Let's go. I'm gonna get some gloves because I don't know what kind of crap's going on here. Is that another steering columns are free? I was just gonna say, I'm gonna open the tailgate and I bet you gotta reach in there and squeeze and the surround is gone off the tailgate because that's how every OBS known to man is. Cinder blocks? Wow, how could we be so lucky? Bricks? How does that saying go? You know what's saying about talking crap and bricks? They're both bad for your teeth. Oh, fan and a clutch. Intermediate steering shaft. Vortec 454 engine cover. This is gonna be a slow process. There's a lot of crap. So much crap. Roll of duct tape. Oh, the bed mount strap thinger for the ratchet strap. Busted out the fan shroud. We set the OBS parts somewhere, and the engine parts somewhere, and the interior parts somewhere. The seats are disgusting. We're gonna pressure wash those, see if they come back to life. Tech tip of the day, don't store your seats outside. Well, the mice probably won't get them outside. You can't win. Seats suck to store. Story of my life. All right. Let's look at our Vortex style steering column. Who has the key? That's always a plus. So that's the other thing. I think with this Vortex, you got a pass lock style key, and I think you got to have said key in order to make the engine run. So I don't know if they got the right column, if we got the right computer. All that stuff's got to match up. What's this for? Oh, is that like the firewall pass-through thinger? I don't know. Better save it. Here's our big block handles. We drank Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper. HVAC controls, but I think those are for like 99 on up. Interior, duct vents. Throwing them away. Mirror cover. Better keep it. Crossover pipe for the big block, I presume. Park light lens. Roll of paper towel. That's a hood support. Door seal? Yep, door seal. Heater core. Strap. I think those are body lift hooks. Trash. Vortex computer mount? Maybe? Battery tray? Better save it. Oh no. That's a headlight bracket. You can tell because this is a headlight bracket and it looks just like it. Mirrored. Mirrored means opposite side. For those of you that don't know. Coors casserole. Colorado Kool-Aid. Heater hose. Formed, not flexi. Throttle cables. Might need those. Skid plate. Better keep it. Where do we file that? I don't know. Exhaust! Woo, it's got the Flow Pro welded muffler. Lucky us. Another fan shroud. Not as busted as the first one. Alright, door seals. We're not safe. We'll save the fan shrouds. I must have taken apart 3 pickups because there's already a fan shroud over there. Here's 2 more. Radiator probably has a hole in it from the way it was stored. Of all the things I save out of the parts pickup, the door seals, probably not high on my priority list. Another headlight, park brake handle, wire harness. Who knows what it's for, but we're saving it. Oh, this is for sure later than TBI. These aren't TBI connectors, which I think these are probably not in good shape being stored outside like this. This might be an LS harness to go with the 99 to 06 parts. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where the LS harness, I think that clamps to the oil pan. The bolts go inside of it. Yeah, that's LS harness. No, we're not gonna LS swap it, Duff. Not this one. Maybe one day we'll do one. TBI for life! Keep your stupid LS swaps. TBI, greatest engines ever made. Another park light. Another park brake release. Another flex plate. Another fan shroud. An air box full of water. Duff, did you know that these are like double layered plastic? How did that water get in there? Through that hole right there. How are we gonna get it out? Through that hole right there. That is the 454 air box. Mortske, because the greatest engine ever made, the TBI, just has a cute little air cleaner on the top, just like a carburetor. TBIs are like fuel injection for people who can't give up their Hollies or their quadrojets. Yeah, I don't know that I fall into that, but I guess based on what I just said, I do. A tilt knob for steering column. More throttle cables. I think that's the 454 throttle intake thinger. Throttle body! It's the throttle body. Dipstick tube Jimmy. Another kickdown or throttle cable. And another throttle cable. The HVAC controls, which are getting hard to find, but I think this one saw too much sunshine and rain. Bush Latte. Another Colorado Kool-Aid. Another fan with the clutch still attached. Oh, new parts in the bag. What a deal. What do we got? Idler arm. Fitment arm. Guessing we need to install that. Tie rod end. Yep. What else we got? And a trash can full of body bolts. Ah! Fashion masks and cool masks. Remember COVID when people used to wear these things? And they're made in China, so they give you the bat virus. I already got it. We got this side done. What are you, is there something under there? You just checking it out, seeing if it needs that pitman arm? Good call. All right, what do we got over here? Condenser, scrap. More throttle cables. What the French? God-awful plastic tailgate inserts. Thank goodness this thing doesn't have one or the bed would be rotted out. Another latte. Dr. Pepper. How is the factory grill? I like the later grills. Oh, this is the later grill. And it's busted. And it's got a stiff rag stuck to it. And it's also got buttons on it from somebody putting a Gwinner front, so it's not that great. It's not the worst though. I'm sure somebody's gonna correct me, but I think there was grill 88 to 93, and then 94 they went to the later one, but like I said, somebody's gonna correct me. It appears that several sandwiches were consumed during this build process. Here's some interior pieces. Coolant reservoir for the Vortec. Crazy huge mystery pin. Caliper. 7-pin flat trailer socket cover. Alright. Pepsi. Skid plate. Skid plate. Put those in the skid plate pile. Put that in the can pile. Gotta recycle that steel and aluminum just for Greta. Looks like an HVAC duct. There is probably the stock grill. That's the bad thing about these grills is the chrome, if you will, on the plastic likes to delaminate, and that's kind of the downfall of these things. Ooh, is that a Sunkist? Heck yeah. All right, that's the contents of the bed. Let's go inside the cab. Join along, won't you? All right, this thing's got, I think the earlier pickups had the coolest interiors, like the 95 on up, you got like blue and red, which are horrendous. And you got gray, which was good. Maybe there was tan. There definitely was tan. And then in between you had those same colors. But they were better in those pickups, it seemed like. They weren't so in your face. Well, these early pickups, like this one, case in point, has the gray and black, has the two-tone interior. Real nice.
Really nice.
Steering column numbers 2. Tilt, automatic, no keys. And 3, again, Vortec, tilt automatic, no key. Oh, what a disaster. Some type of silly aftermarket console. No change or shotgun shells. This thing is going in the trash. Oh, it's got a tissue dispenser in there. You can have your own cry corner in your vehicle. Okay, of all the things to keep inside the old exhaust gaskets, like, really? There's the dipstick, Jimmy. All right, now we're getting organized. Get some totes. Instead of totes, I should have grabbed a trash can. Ask and you shall receive. Yeah, shush. Ask and you shall receive, Mortske. Interior parts. Grabs a tote, not big enough for the parts he wants to put in it. Interior, kick panel. Gauge cluster surround. 95 and newer. Looks like it's in good shape too. OJ gloves. Insulated. Ooh, Wells Lamont. These are my favorite gloves. But they're not mine, and they've also been used, so they're garbage. Spark plug wire protector. 454s, you gotta have those from all the horse torques. Serpentine belt. We'll get a new one when we get to that point. Brake controller. Brake Force. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good brand to me. Bunch of terrible wire harness, cigarette lighter plug-in sockets, security system, speaker, Bluetooth. You know what that all is? Garbage. What is, oh no. They had like an ignition switch underneath the dash. Somebody had hot wired this thing. Speaking of hot wired, this thing is probably hot. That's another reason I just wanted to just start over with a different rig, because who knows what happened to the wire harness. And diagnosing electrical, not really my jam, especially when somebody else has been there. I don't mind diagnosing original equipment stuff, but somebody else has been in there. I've seen those signs before, like 35 bucks an hour to work on your car, 50 if you brought the parts, 75 if you watch, 100 if you've worked on it before. And I didn't understand that as a child, why my grandpa had that sign in his shop. Now I know why. As I work on stuff and people watch me for a living now. HVAC duct. Fuse roach clip. All right, and I did not leave myself enough room to get this dash out of here. I did leave enough room on the other side though. Hey, this is the mirror that's missing that cover. Good thing I saved it. Even though these mirrors are hideous. Another fan shroud. Because why wouldn't we? At least this thing wasn't gonna overheat with its one radiator with a hole in it. Is the harness just hanging out there? So what? We having fun yet?
Hey, it looks like it.
Oh, look at that, we got a spun wrench.
All right.
It's like a pry bar, chisel, hammer, Swedish nut lathe.
Universal.
All in one. The only tool you'll ever need. A couple of screwdrivers.
All right.
Scotch locks. And a whole bunch of hardware. Guess we'll have to sort through that and see which hardware we need and which ones we can throw away, but all these use Scotch locks. Like I said earlier about the wiring. Oh, and why wouldn't there be twist connectors and yellow eyelets that were too big for the wire? Spark plugs, pen, spark plug wire ends. Oh yeah, a lot of real high quality stuff there. Are the screwdrivers high quality? No, they're definitely Chinese stuff. This one does have the hex on it, so you can put a wrench or pliers. This one does too, but it's made out of plastic. That's a coil for a 454. Steering column mount. All right, the interior's ready for a good vacuuming. We got this seat belt's murdered, and that one's red. And there's a aftermarket speaker wire over there, and I don't know, this one over here. But yeah, she should clean up. No headliner, not surprised. It's missing this piece across the back. Yeah, she's pretty busted up in there, but we'll see if we can find some interior pieces. The good news is the harness don't look too hacked up. These I think were for the trailer brake controller. Yeah, we're missing the door sill plates. We're gonna need some interior pieces. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit more consolidating here, kind of try to sort out interior, exterior, 454, not 454 stuff, and then we'll come back. That's the reason we're doing this, so we see what we got, what we don't got. And on the interior side, we found out a lot of things that we don't got. And what we do got is a mess. To try and save a little bit of a mess in my yard, I'm gonna sweep all these leaves into a nice pumpkin bag to put out front for Halloween. Just kidding, fresh out of pumpkin bags. We do have a trash can though, so that's where it's gonna go. Torquing down the oil pump. You'll have her running by supper time, huh?
Well,
No guarantees, I know. Alrighty, let's roll this thing outside and get her washed up. I'm gonna do under the hood too, I think. Because why not? Should probably do inside the cab too while we're at it. It'd steer a lot easier if it had a steering column, eh? Yeah, one of those three would work really well. All right, I got this regular cab short bed spun over here onto the lift. We're gonna leave her drip dry for a bit, and then we're gonna start ripping everything out. That was Chin's recommendation. I said, do we tear apart the other one first? And then all the parts are laying here, and then we wheel this one in and tear it apart and set those parts in it. He says, tear that one apart first, and you know what you need. I said, all right. That way if it's wrong, it's his fault. So we'll leave that thing dry over lunch, and we'll go jump in the telehandler right now, and we'll go grab the old 95 and drag her around, and then it's up here. Well, I gotta do something while it's drying off. All right, here she is in all of her glory. This is why I want to get this thing stripped out, is there's a huge gaping hole that water funnels in right there, and it's turning this nice seat green. 237K on it, so she's not a virgin anymore, but it's got a little rust over the rear wheels. But the cab corners are good, fenders are screwed. We could use a better hood, but this one's junk. But I think it was rolled over in May or April. Anyway, not that long ago. So we'll get her truck up to the shop. Also, I think it had a brand new cap rotor, plug wires, all that stuff from what I remember, but I can't remember them all. So anyway, let's get this thing drug inside. Ah, yes, there it is, 5.7. So still got the TBI, but it's got the new style dash. And that's kind of your giveaway that she's a 95. Hopefully the old telehandler will lift this big. I would imagine it would. I don't know how else I got it to this location. Well, it picked it up. It's not happy about it, but it did it. Well, this should be one of the easiest engine pulls. That harness was just hanging on by a couple of connectors. That was the original harness for the small block. Looks like we got one bolt holding the engine in place. I don't know that it's really holding much. This side, they maybe have, nope, definitely don't have a nut on it. Well, we can spin that out. Doesn't look like starter wires are hooked up. I think we're ready to lift her up in the air. See what they got going on the bottom side. Like I said before, they said there was some issues with the flex plate. Now the other thing is that computer that came with this thing, or the harness. I don't know if it was for manual or automatic, but this thing should have a 4L60 in it. There was never a 4L60 in a big block, so it should be a 4L80 is what it's set up for. And really, I think this has got a TV cable, so I think it's a 700R4, but maybe you call it a 4L60. No, I think 60s didn't have the TV cable. Anyway, there would have probably been issues there. So let's get her up in the air. See what we got to disconnect down there, and then we'll have to find a spot to hook a chain on this big, ugly, big block and get her out of there. All right, everything looks pretty good under here. Pinion seal's leaking. The wire harness for the trailers is absolutely horrendous. And yeah, we'll worry about that when it's capable of moving under its own power, much less towing a trailer. Why is that rubbing on that? Is that shackle bent? I don't know. A lot of paint on the frame yet, so she's pretty solid. Shocks still got paint on them. These things are notorious. You'll see on that rollover for dirt sits in these U-bolts, and then it rots them off and they break and your rear end falls out. It happens. Spare tires even under here, holding air. Got a receiver hitch on it. But anyway, torque converter bolts are in place, but it looks like they reamed the holes way out to get them in there. And check this out. Got the bar on it, and you can guess what's gonna happen next. She's stuck. Old El Jefe doesn't turn her over. So we got screwed. You know, it just needs to be finished up. No, we let her sit for too long outside. So there's not much for bell housing bolts. I think there's one or two. We'll take those out, and then I think we're gonna have to take the torque converter with the flex plate, because I don't know how else we would get these bolts out without the engine turning over. And I'm not gonna work too hard at making it turn over, because we're not gonna do anything with it at this time. So thanks. I should have used that to negotiate with the guy better, but I'm an idiot. But I knew better. Still an idiot. So yeah, I'm gonna pull those bell housing bolts out and those torque converter bolts out that I can get at. And then we'll have to get it slid forward to get the input shaft out of the torque converter. So that should be fun. Oh, classic. Using the old header bolts for torque converter bolts. Whew, looks like I need a new pair of mittens. Good news! I was able to put a big bar on it, get it to turn over. Starter's off. They apparently left the ground strap between the engine block and the transmission, so excellent. Let's see what we got in the oil pan. Or let's see what we got in the water pan, maybe. It's gonna be full of water. This thing sat without a hood for who knows how long, but the throttle body is horizontal. Oh yeah, that's a lot of water. There comes the oil. Oh yeah, money shot right there. Not bad, but there's definitely water in it. Look at the end of the drain plug. Gross. Well, she definitely wasn't a one owner, low mile, high maintenance machine, but I didn't expect it to be. Well, now at least when that 454 is rolling around out in the trees, there won't be oil getting spilled, killing the trees. So you're welcome for that, Greta. All right, let's see if we can't finagle this thing out of here. Oh yeah, let me take out the remaining bellows. Now let's try it with all the bolts on. Somebody put the stupid bolt right in the center. I don't know if that's holding us up. We're gonna take it out of there anyways. Let's take a closer look at this redneck engineering marvel, shall we? Here's the ground strap I was talking about. So you kind of want your bell housing and your transmission to sit flush against your block. Well, it's hard to do that when you got that thing in there, and obviously it was broke off. So when they had this out, I don't know why they didn't just take that off. It's still got the seal on the intake, so it's probably never been opened up. Check this out. I think the 4L80s and the Turbo 400s can use 6 bolt. Anyway, it's a different bolt pattern. But look at this masterpiece right there. I mean, wow. That's some 3rd grade arts and crafts work right there. And none of them are really in the same direction, so I don't know. And the crappy part is this is a brand new flex plate. Look at how hammered out that pilot bushing is. He did say that this is out of a manual pickup, so he was wondering if that wasn't what was hitting. Well, yeah, you probably should have taken that out. Got your bread out, or your grease, or your pipe tap, whatever. But that was the least of their worries. Oh, also they busted the oil pressure sensor, or sender, so that would have been an issue. Anyway, we should roll this thing outside and pressure wash it off and throw a starter on it and see if we can't get it zinging over. It was out of a 4-wheel drive pickup. You can tell by the way that it is.
This is an Aspen. You can tell that it's an Aspen tree because of the way it is.
It's got this adapter. Oil filter sits off to the side. Otherwise, when they're vertical, they smash right into the front drive shaft for the 4-wheel drive. Your worthless information of the day. Okay then. Also, temp sensor there, snapped off. Looks like they bent over the hard line for the power steering. This thing must have been Hydro Boost because it looks like there's 2 return lines here, and there should be, oh, there's the pressure one there. So she came from a Hydro Boost pickup, so that would have needed to been addressed. And also I would have got rid of the oil cooler when they had it out. So yeah, a couple of missed opportunities there. All right, let's set this off to the side in case we need something off of it or huck it outside. Speaking of hucking it outside, I wish I would have waited to pressure wash it because still a lot of leaves in there, but maybe we can blow it off when it's outside. Get her nice and clean for new engine bay. Torque converter looks nice and shiny. Usually when they've been hot, they look hot and they get all rusty and whatnot, but that doesn't mean anything. And the fuel lines, oh yeah, it's kinked right there. And over there, they're all full of crap because nobody capped them off or put anything over them. So yeah. Also, it looks like they pinched off the heater core by banging things around into it. So some real top-notch redneckery going on here. Nothing but the finest redneck engineering. All right, let's continue it on and go ruin another perfectly good pickup. I don't know about perfectly good. Perfectly running fine when it was rolled over pickup. That one took about an hour to pull. The other one's gonna take quite a bit longer, I got a feeling. You gonna come help carry this in with your new haircut? Well, we were washing the pickup. You were getting washed up yourself. Spa day. All right, man. We got work to do. We're gonna lose the shop for sure, so if you could guide me in, that would be great. Thank you. How's it look under there? Good? Looks like that tire's flat is what it looks like. And that one. She looks a little rough. We probably should have just knocked the roof out, put some bolts in the rear end of this thing and drove this one. Yeah, that would have been a lot more time efficient. Eh, Duff? Fun is that though? Everybody wants a regular cab short bed. Mojo says we're ready for cylinder heads.
Look at how nice it is.
Look at, she's cleaned up that timing cover, got them fancy Felpro head gaskets. Got that new camshaft slid in there and all oiled up. We better put the old one in the box, then we'll go sell it at a swap meet.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, we got this thing in here. We checked. It's not OBD2. Chin and I were discussing, and Chin was right. It's not OBD2. I was kind of hoping it would be. I didn't know how it could be, but if it could be OBD2, then I could make any of my 87 and 95s OBD2, but It's not. It is floor shift 4-wheel drive, so that'll work perfect. That's the other pickup's got. I think you could get these in the push button, and I wanted to avoid that, just have all the same stuff. And I like lever because then you know it's working. So yeah, we're probably gonna have to swap the whole dash. And this thing's got ABS and airbags and all that good stuff. So we're probably not gonna make that stuff work. But I suppose if you got crazy enough, you could swap all the hubs and everything over, but we're not that crazy. We're just gonna have a bunch of lights out of the dash, or we're gonna twist off a bunch of bulbs. That's what we're gonna do. So yeah, this thing is complete and clean and awesome. So I'm just gonna start draining coolant. I think he already did drain the coolant, Scrapper Johnny, and oil and all that, get her out of here and pressure washed up, and hopefully we get everything we need and transfer it all over. Just that easy. We'll definitely run into something that's super confusing, but anyway, now it's gonna be like 6 hours of work and like 90 seconds of time lapse. All right, we're a couple hours in. Got a little bit more wiring to unhook up there, but I think we got to take the interior out to get the HVAC unhooked to fish the wire harness out and over. So we're just gonna keep unhooking the wire harness down here. We gotta get the transmission, transfer case, drive shafts, all that good stuff out of here. Check this out. The old drive shaft is doing the old flippity floppity. Oh, scrap boy cut the cat off because scrap guy things. Oh, but don't worry, he totally butchered the wires for the oxygen sensor as well, because scrap guys. Here's what happens when you let your U-bolts get pencil thin and rusty. When you roll your car over, they snap off. Or when you tie a chain around it to pull somebody out because you don't have a receiver hitch, it does the same thing. Looks like they need a brake line as well. Anyway, we'll get the drive shaft off down here so that can come out. Oh yeah, and scrap guy cut a hole in the tank to drain that. But looks like they cut a hole in the bed to put a fuel pump in. So we might get a good fuel pump out of the deal. But yeah, we're gonna get transfer case, drive shafts, transmission. I think we're gonna have to undo the exhaust in order to sneak everything out the front. Maybe if we pull, yeah, we could probably do that. Take the transfer case off, take that off, and then we should be able to sneak the engine and transmission out the top. That would be pretty neat.
How neat is that?
Is that a bunch of booger welds there? Wow, classy. So yeah, we're gonna have to do some exhaust work. All right, nothing to really show underneath here, so I'm gonna get back to work. Oh yeah, we gotta take that exhaust off. That always bites us. It always hooks on the frame or something stupid. So might as well just take that off. All right, got my floor dry down. Now I just gotta do everything else. I thought that was sealed. But I could be wrong. Or the seal could be bad. Definitely doesn't need to be oil back there. Seal's bad.
One eternity later.
All right, I think we finally got everything done down here. We got transmission mount, engine mounts, tranny cooler lines, transfer case, drive shafts, shift linkages, wire harness. I don't know what we would have forgot, but I'm sure we forgot something. Got starter off, got starter wiring off. I think we're ready to finally sneak this thing out of there. So let's set this thing on the ground. Find a spot to hook the cherry picker. Pull this thing out of there. I've never pulled a four-wheel drive engine and transmission in one shot. Anyway, we're gonna give it a whirl. It should work. We're gonna spill ATF all over the floor because that's what happens when you leave the transmission hooked up. Chain is hooked up. The nice part about these TBI engines is they get the little eyelet at the front and the rear of the intake hooked on the bolts there for hooking the chain to. So that's top-notch engineering that GM did. The bad thing is we got this stupid 35 Ford Coupe in the way that I never seem to find time to work on. So either the truck's gonna have to go back or we're gonna have to get real lucky or we're gonna have to roll that back. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be able to sneak her out of there, cattywampus style. What did we forget? We're about to find out. Mojo, you gonna help me pull an engine out?
Yeah.
Are ya? You gonna tell me what I forgot?
Up.
Yep.
No.
Okay, hold on. Are we hitting the oil filter on your side? Well, boys and girls, she is out of there. That was not a whole lot of fun. Look at this. She's a good wrench. Reman. A million years ago. This was some of the stinkiest transmission fluid I've dealt with in a long time, so not much hope for that one. Yeah, 4L60E, like this is, has got the big plug over on the side here, and no TV cable. So it's an electronic version of the 700R4, which that other one has, which has a TV cable and no kickdown. And so, well, these would be set up for a electronic speedometer, which is what that transfer case has. And our other transfer case is, I don't know what that other one is. I don't know, we'll have to look. I'm guessing it's electric as well. We'll figure it out one way or another. Look at this though. You think she had some heating issues? That is a lot of crap wedged up in there. And that wasn't from sitting here. Also, I'm guessing before they replaced that power steering hose, it leaked for quite some time by the look of things. She's a little greasy. Those engine oil cooler lines were shot and they run about in the same vicinity. One of them had been replaced. So I'm guessing that's why that's all greasy, grimy gopher guts as well.
Greasy, grimy gopher guts.
Tech tip of the day, take the transmission mount off. They slide out a lot easier. Ask me how I know. Now the only thing we got to do to get the harness out of there is there's a big old freaking bulkhead. It's not a connector, it's a bulkhead that goes through there. So we got to pull the whole dash apart in order to get this harness out because the HVAC is part of the engine harness. How silly is that? But it will be nice getting this dash. These dashes hold up a lot better. They don't crack out as bad as earlier ones, and the HVAC controls and the whole system is significantly better. In my opinion, they still got some flaws. The controls go bad and blend doors and actuators and stuff go bad, but the earlier ones, the controls are like obsolete, hard to find, and we have enough trouble just keeping them running in the old 92. We don't need 2 sets of those things. And this way our speedometer will work with our transfer case and all that good stuff as well. So let's take a break. We'll see you after lunch. We got a mess here. Swapping engines is always messy around this place. And I'm gonna pick up some tools here quick. And then we're gonna get into pulling the interior. I've never pulled an interior out of a 95 to 98. Oh, I take that back. We definitely have in the old Confederado that we did way back in the day. I took a lot of pieces anyway. So it's gonna be a whole lot of not filming. So we'll see. I'm gonna pull the seats out first because like I said, water runs here. It's turning these suckers green, so we're gonna try to get them pressure washed. Hey, did you hear the joke about rulers? Yeah, they're not making them any longer. So we'll pull the seats out and we'll pressure wash those, and then we're gonna pressure wash that engine, and I'm gonna get this interior out of here, and we're gonna pressure wash the transfer case. I like this point and stick. Anyway, I'm gonna destroy the interior of this thing, and hopefully we can get it back together again, because I got to get the interior out so that we can get that wire harness out, and then the pickup can go away. Plus I want to get the steering column out of this thing and put into the other one so that we can steer the other one, because nobody can steer it around here with their bare hands.
If I ever find the guy that did my limb transplant, I'm gonna kill him with my bare hands.
What is this? The transmission overdrive range OD should not be used for towing a trailer, carrying a heavy load, driving on steep hills, or off-road. Man, if you hit overdrive off-road, you're doing some real Baja stuff out there. What do you got? More things? Fragile?
Ah, fragile. It must be Italian.
All right, we are back. It is balmy 37 degrees this morning up here in Podunk. So probably gonna be switching to the insulated pants here sometime soon and putting the shorts away. So now my legs will finally match my feet again. Stuck around late last night. It's about a 4 sandwich job to get the dash out of these things. Not bad. It's actually pretty simple. There's like 3 screws along the top and 2 bolts on the bottom. Then just a couple in the center, and the whole thing tips forward, and you gotta unplug your radio antenna. Tech tip of the day, take the dash out. I don't even know if you need to take the dash out. Somebody wants to show off their fancy new haircut. Duff does. Duff does. You even helped a little bit last night, didn't you? Definitely didn't drink the coolant, because we don't do that around here. Tech tip, take the radio out first, because you got to get the antenna out. And then when the dash tips forward, you just unhook all the connectors for everything on the back of the dash, and then the dash pops out. And I thought it was for the HVAC, the harness coming through the firewall. No, it's for the computer, the ECU. So we unhooked that, and we saved pretty much everything. Let me show you. Let me show you what we're gonna have to do though. This thing was wrecked in April, 6 months ago, and that is all mouse house in there. And maybe the mice got in there before they quit driving it. Maybe it was parked for a while and then they started driving again. Who knows? But freaking mice. But we got her stripped out in here. I got the column out. Obviously, you got to get that out to get the dash out. We got the brake pedal out just in case there's some differences there. We got the throttle pedal out because sometimes we use those for certain things. We took the firewall insulation out. We got all the HVAC stuff over there. The mice made nests in these kick panels, as you can see over there. We got the shift linkage out, or it's a cable, and it runs up here and it comes all the way back down here and it goes through the transmission tunnel right there. It's like 1.5 miles long. I saved a bunch of this stuff. I just set it back here for now. The ECU radio cluster will be out of the way and we can grab it as needed. And don't you worry, we didn't let any Freon into the atmosphere of the shop. It was completely empty. So somebody had already let it into the atmosphere. So Greta, we checked first. We do have a reclaimer here, and I would have definitely reclaimed it because that stuff, that R134A, super expensive. We need an R134A sponsor if we ever get some things with air conditioning, and this thing will have it at some point, I hope. One more thing that I do want to grab, I'm sure we're going to forget some things, but I think we're missing the sill plates on the other pickup, and I think we're going to take the carpet out. I don't know if the carpets are going to be the same. Obviously, we'll have to cut this one off because it's an extended cab. But I think this carpet would clean up okay. We'll see. And the other reason, if we get it out of here, then it won't hold moisture in there, so maybe the cab will be, you know, less rusty, but still super smashed up. I don't know. We'll see how ambitious I get. We need these sill plates anyway, and I had to pull the carpet up to get that silly shift cable out. But yeah, take the dash out. Not a bad job. It may seem daunting, but grab 4 sandwiches and a 15 millimeter, 13 millimeter, some extensions, wire cutter. Don't cut the connections. Get your screwed by Mortske repair screwdriver for popping all those electrical connections, a little pry bar and a clip tool, some Torx, some metric sockets, a Phillips and your screw gun, and a couple of impacts, and you'll have her. Didn't take a whole lot. It took way less tools, way less time, and I was way cleaner when I was done pulling this out versus pulling the drivetrain. So if you and your buddy are working on a vehicle doing this, definitely say, yeah, I'll do the inside stuff. Let them crawl underneath and get all greasy pulling the engine out. Right, Duff? You didn't do either, so what do you know? All right, let's get back to work. Or get back to pets, whatever. Somebody wants some attention this morning. Sill plates are out. I think this thing can go outside now for the last time. One more thing to note. You know, she's a Midwest farm pickup by all the 22 shells that are rolled up by the windshield from shooting gophers and muskrats and blackbirds and beer bottles and whatever else. So that's really common. I remember tearing apart dashes and square bodies because there would be a rattle in the fan, and your 22 shells ran down the defroster, and they would rattle every time you turn the blower motor on. But this is next level. I've never seen where they actually filled the step plate area with 22 shells. The old 22 long rifle. Okay. Oh, I gotta grab my magnetic tray full of hardware. Now it can go outside. What's our favorite thing to do, Duff? Other than make a mess? Pressure wash. So we're gonna clean up this greasy, grimy gopher gut. Also, they'd replaced this oil line. And it was just finger tight, so that was waiting to go. And that one just kind of pulled right out of the crimp. So that one was ready to go too. And those things are a missed opportunity by GM engineering. I don't think we really need engine oil coolers, but they ruined a lot of engines over the years and made messes of many a concrete pad. So let's get this washed up in the transfer case and maybe this 41 Ford transmission tool over at it. All right, Duff? It's probably warmed up to 40 degrees now, so perfect pressure washing weather. All right, well that stuff drip dries. I'm gonna go dry off myself. Hey, you forgot to strip everything off while I was pressure washing. I guess while that stuff drip dries, we're gonna finish gutting the firewall on the inside of this thing. It looks like the wire harness going to the taillights and the fuel pump is different, and I should have taken it off. And the wire harness for the headlights and stuff is different, so I should have taken that off. Great. Well, let's get this HVAC stripped out of there and the insulation on the firewall and whatever else, and see what else is different. This is a bad idea, huh? Catching flies? Hopefully it gets cold enough so they all die. All right, here's the first 95 to 90 loophole debacle we got to address. So the bulkheads were on this side, this fuse panel. On that side, it's where the computer ECU connector comes through the firewall. Second debacle, Duff. Whoa, throttle her back, buddy. You want to give me a new Cyclops? Swap it out for one that's not smashed up and charged. Anyway, the holes are different, so I cut a plate out of the firewall, the other smashed up pickup, because nobody's gonna ever put a roof on a rusty old pickup. And we're gonna scab that into this firewall. So here's the original bulkhead connector on the 90, and the 95 doesn't have this hole up here, so I don't know what that's all about. Here's what I cut out, and you can see by this brace that runs right there, that goes like that, because that brace runs right there on this one. So, I mean, you could cut this out and open it up and drill the holes, but I think it'll just be easier if we cut it out and then just either weld or screw or whatever, attach this. So we know our holes are going to be the right diameter in the proper locations. And then it's going to give us this nice little lip here to seal it off and place it and all that good stuff. So I got to trim it up a little bit more where that brace is, and then obviously we got to trim this out. And of course we got to do something similar on the other side for that giant ECU connector, which I don't get because I think they have the same ECU between 90 and 95, but whatever. Same deal, cut this plate out of that other firewall. I trimmed it through the radius of this hole and this hole, and of course we'll use those to locate her up there, like so. Same deal. We could trim this out and mash it in there, but this way we'll get that lip and we'll get the correct size holes, because I think those are well, they're self tappers, but they're threaded anyway. But it doesn't get into our antenna hole. It's got this same dimple on the firewall. Everything's pretty much the same. You can see I had to trim the corner here where it comes up for the wheelhouse. It's gonna be good, except for that cab's no good no more. But this is the first debacle we run into, and then it'll get into wiring and who knows what else. Probably the reason nobody does this. So I'm gonna get to cutting and fitting and screwing and tacking and whatever else we got going on here. Look at that, we got a nice tight fit in there. Throw some seam seal around it and weld it or screw it, or actually the bolts around it should hold it in place. Good idea to put some seam sealer in there so humidification can't get in between the two pieces of metal, and probably would be a good idea to throw a coat of paint or primer on it as well to prevent the rust from starting. So yeah, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And believe me, you could spend all day cutting and measuring and trimming and tapping that lip out there so that the factory firewall did it, but it's a 1990 Chevy. Is what it is, you know? Depends on what you expect of it or what you want of it, and I just want something to beat in the winter that'll start and has four-wheel drive. And we got parts for it, so should check all the boxes right there. And on a budget, that's what we got going. It's a budget. Probably not. We probably already spent too much money. Probably could have went and bought one already for what we got into it. One that's running and driving. That other side didn't fit as well, but it'll be good enough for the girls we go with. Well, since we didn't have our mind made up earlier about what we're gonna do for a transmission transfer case, we gotta pull that stuff out now. Mojo got the engine all back together. He even wore his shirt to match himself to that really pretty engine. We got chrome pulleys, new fuel pump, blue valve covers, blue plug wires, red distributor cap, red oil filter, ram horn manifolds. We got an Edelbrock Performer EPS used intake. It's gonna run great, isn't it? Or it won't.
Nice.
No guarantees. All right, I'm gonna go pull a transmission and transfer case. Okay, I think we got everything out of there. I think we're gonna take our wire harness and try to fish her up into place. And then we'll grab the cherry picker and try to set the engine in place. The cherry picker is currently being used to hold a 400 Chevrolet up though. But hey, check this out. The neighbors got 2 green combines on the not so green corn. Don't they, Duff? And the Chin himself is gonna get us some mad drone footage. Maybe? Better hurry up, they're about halfway done. Try turning it off, turn it back on again. Oh, shoot. We don't have too much wind today, but she's a little breezy. Everybody's hauling the corn and beans. Yeah, don't let it get hit by a semi. You should just hover it right over the road just high enough so a semi blasts underneath it. See what the wind does to it. Watch out for power lines and pigeons. Feel like you need a welding hood over the screen so you can see it. Crazy kids, huh, Duff? You crazy kid. You're looking dapper with your nice haircut though, ain't you? Ain't you? Oh, there you go, boy. All right, Chin's gonna go watch farming things. We're gonna go back to work, okay? Good stuff. Hopefully he doesn't smash it into their combine and ruin something expensive like the drone or the combine. Hey, it's the DOT boys. That looks efficient. 2-wheel trailer with 80 gallons of fuel on the back. Oh, we missed him running across the road. All right, we got work to do. You don't go playing on the highway, okay? All right, the wire harness is in, and check this out. I don't even think we're gonna need to use that plate that we cut out of the other pickup. It snaps right in. I did an amazing job of butchery. Look at that. Nice fit. We're gonna screw in there and a screw in there. Should be good to go. Now I know these harnesses look pretty daunting, but especially if you took it out, it's not a big deal. If you figure out kind of how the layout goes, like the 4L60 has that big giant round plug. Well, you know that goes to the transmission. You know where the starter wires go because they got the big heat shield on it. You know where the couple of connectors for the throttle body go. It all just pretty much lays out. I think on an LS, like the cam position and the crank sensor are the same, and they was a huge miss by GM because idiots like us get them flopped around. I've done it twice now. I did it once and I caught somebody else doing it once on a vehicle, on the Cowboy Cadillac. But anyway, it pretty much just lays out and they can only go one way. So yeah, it's pretty easy. And they're nice connectors, nice tight seals. One of them got busted. I don't know how, or maybe it was busted before, but looks like there's one that's kind of dinged up on this. So hopefully we can salvage that off the other pickup or steal one from something else in the yard, or maybe it's something for like HVAC or that's not important. So I think we're ready to steal our cherry picker back. Looks like she's just about done. And we'll scoop up the motor and transmission, set her in. Have you been tested lately? Doesn't say if it passed, but she's 95 kilo whoppers. All right, slide this thing in there. Hopefully everything goes swimmingly. No doubt it won't. Sweet, she's set in place. Now just got to do everything else. But first I'm gonna clean up our mess so we don't track the mess to the entire shop via our van. Did you cut your legs shaving today?
No, I don't know what I did.
Fresh out of frozen Band-Aids?
Yeah.
And use the flesh colored ones.
I'm more of a cloth type guy, so it rips off all the hair on my legs.
And your mount bolts are in. Chin lubed up the gasket for the torque converter. Clean it up with our super scraper. Get yours at mortske.com. Let's stab that torque converter. Did I say torque converter? Transfer case. Let's put a transfer case on, get that out of the way. Also, we noticed the shift linkage for the transmission is rods and levers on the 90, and the 95 is a cable. So remember how I said it like came through the floor like way back here? Yeah, well, we're gonna have to cut another hole in this poor pickup for that. Transfer case is in. Still got to do our drive shafts, but I wanted to get this all in place so that way we can lay our wire harness out and get all this stuff hooked up under here. And yeah, this stuff is no fun to take back apart. So do all we got help and make sure we got it right, and then not have to redo it like this shift linkage that we should have flipped over the top. So we're gonna have to unhook that, lay it the way it needs to go. But we'll get some drive shafts in. We're not going to get the shift linkage right off the bat, but we'll get a starter on it and we'll get some more wiring hooked up. And maybe we can round up some exhaust. Probably should have did this while it was out, but let's pull that oil filter adapter out before we put the drive shaft in and cap off them oil cooler lines, because we're not going to be needing those where we're going. So it's just those two bolts right there. We'll drop her down. We'll spin a new filter on it. I think they're pipe fittings, so we'll throw a couple plugs in there and be good to go. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to loop them. I never have anyway. I haven't blown up an engine yet. Your mileage may vary. All right, new filter going on, and our oil cooler delete is complete. PF52 Delco going with the finest. Time to put our fresh Remy Reman starter on there. Be a good little starter. Give us years of trouble-free use. Thank you. Actually, starters on fuel-injected engines seem like they last way longer because you're not dealing with points and carburetors and all that good stuff. They just start. And these things only got so many revolutions in them, so the longer you turn them, the shorter their life expectancy. Well, I was just gonna put a drive shaft in. Looks like the neighbors are about, oh shoot, they are done. That's the next corn over. Trucks are all gone. The old, what does that thing say? S690 something John Deere. She been broke down since before lunch. And it's now well after lunch. That's why they got 2 combines, I told Logan. So that one's running most of the time. All right, the drive shaft debacle. So obviously the rear extended cab, look at that girthy son of a gun. He's a thick black shaft. I won't put my hand on that. But anyway, it's gonna be shorter because, you know, regular cab, extended cab. Hopefully the yoke's the same because that end is gonna match our rear end for sure. This end, yeah, looks like the old Turbo 400 style setup. I think we'll be okay. The front, I thought everything was the same length, but this one looks longer. Also, what is that called? Like a companion joint or something? Anyway, it's got a flange, and that one uses just a regular U-joint, some straps, and a yoke. So I got to figure out what we're gonna do there. And maybe we can just take that flange off and hook it up to our transfer case. But this one's clearly longer, so I don't know. And they're both super greasy on that end because in GM and all their infinite wisdom, put the oil filter right over that joint. Maybe it's so that you would see it and grease it, although nobody ever does. All right, I'll do some playing around here, see what happens, because our transfer case needs that, and I don't want to swap transfer cases again. I don't see how it could be longer though. Maybe that's it. Maybe the distance between the center of that and there obviously is going to make it longer. So if we put that up against that, okay, still way shorter. Son of a biscuit. Well, let's see what we can figure out. I guess worst case scenario, we only got a 2-wheel drive. If that fits. If that don't fit, we got a no-wheel drive. All right, only dropped both the caps and lost 5 needles, but we found them, cleaned them up, stuck them back in, so it should be good to go for another 200,000 miles. And only dropped this on my melon once. Thankfully, the camera was not rolling. But she fits! So that companion flange must be shorter or longer or whatever, different length. Anyway, it fits. So I'm happy. And if Mortske's happy, everybody's happy. Happy, happy, happy.
Happy, happy, happy.
Well, since we haven't got shafted yet, let's do the rear shaft. All right, this is gonna be the test. If the short bed shaft fits in the extended cab transmission. Never was a doubt. And this just came off of this rear end, so should be no reason that this U-joint doesn't slide right back in there. The length, I suppose, could be questionable, but I can already tell we're in the ballpark. Where does that term come from? Ballpark. I mean, obviously, it comes from baseball, right? When you hit a home run and it goes out of the ballpark? There's no snap rings on these universal joints, so they're original. And they still seem tight, so we're gonna run them. Shafts complete. Our transfer case shift linkage also complete. All right, pretty much ran out of things to do down there. I don't want to put the skid plates on or put transmission cooler lines on until we get a little bit further. Skid plate's gonna go on at the very end. Transmission cooler lines, I'm not sure what radiator we're gonna use and if we're gonna have new, because this thing just had 2 lines. That thing had a external cooler, so there was 3 lines and they got built-in rubber hoses, and if we're gonna run those, I'd like to get new hoses. Anyway, let's mess around with the wire harness, get it all fished into place, and then from the bottom side we'll hook up the starter and transmission, transfer case, all that good stuff. Try to get everything done underneath well we can so that we don't have to miss something and tear it all apart, because I've been there before. Also, there's some brackets that go off the transmission bolts, so we don't have all the bell housing bolts in there, so let's get those in there at the same time, and then hopefully be done on the bottom side, and then we can go to the top. All right, wire harness is in place. Somebody did intake gaskets or something on this thing, and they busted the clips on, I don't know, half dozen connectors on top of the engine. So at some point, if that gives us issues, hopefully it doesn't, we just drive it and forget about it, and then have issues and can't figure out what's wrong with it. We'll have to swap some connectors, but hopefully everything is just fine. There's a few that's a problem. These pickups are what, 35 years old, 30 years old. A lot of the connectors are getting brittle. The plastic's getting brittle. The fuel lines, not the fuel lines, the vacuum lines, that stuff's getting brittle. So they're due for some replacing. Case in point, this boot on this line going to the PVC, and you see that's been replaced, and actually this boot's been replaced, but the aftermarket stuff just sucks, so we'll have to round one of those up. This line's been replaced. Somebody put a white zip tie on it. There's a big ugly one that goes over to here. Oh yeah, yep, she's been cracked and fixed. Over to the charcoal canister, that's pretty common. So yeah, stuff's old and brittle and feeble. But we got everything pretty much laid out. Everything's connected. I'm gonna put the distributor cap on. I need to find some O-rings for the fuel lines. I need a clip for the cruise control here. But other than that, short of the HVAC stuff and the radiator and everything else. We got the power steering hooked up though. We need to steal the bracket off that other one for the fuse relay center. And then I think we're gonna have to get the harness going to the back, which the taillight harness sucks on this thing. And the headlight harness, which we're probably gonna need when we upgrade the headlights and stuff. Anyway, so let's lift her up in the air and get everything hooked up in the transmission, transfer case, starter, all that stuff. And then we'll be done, other than the exhaust down there, I think. We definitely forgot something, who knows what. Yeah, everything's pretty much wrapped up wiring wise. The brown wire that's been previously fixed is broken on the top of the transfer case. I'm just gonna hope we don't need it for now. And maybe fix it later. I don't see a connector for the shift lever. So maybe that was a 90 only deal. So we're just gonna forget about that. Looks like I gotta put a nut on the fuel line, retainer holder clamper. Starter's in, wired up, front diff's wired up, ground wired up. We got our bell housing bolts tightened up. Yeah, pretty much wrapped up down here. On this go around anyway. We'll set her down and I'll stab a radiator in it. And of course, I don't have the right hoses on hand because scrap guy cut that one. Let's see what we can figure out. Well, DB cleaned our radiator up for us. Real nice. So it fits in here. This thing's actually got the 34-inch radiator. This thing had a significantly narrow radiator. So we're gonna have to use all the corresponding hoses and lines and fan shroud and all that. So let's get into that. Should fit all out of that 95, hopefully. Having a sandwich, thinking about what we're gonna do next. Got to the point where we should get the HVAC in there. We blasted the rat turds off the top. Not rats, mouse. DB did that. Wonder if this isn't the relay right here. That's for the high speed on the fan. We need to fix that on the ramp truck. We don't have the high speed. I think that's where your ECU sits. ECU's multiple. But look at this. There's a blend door here. That one's doing things. So is the air compressor. It's doing things. Never mind that. But anyway, I'm gonna split this thing. I'm gonna look at the evaporator and the heater core and make sure there's no crap in there, because then you're not gonna get any air, and it's, who knows. We're gonna check in there and make sure there's no crap. Good time to clean them out. I wish I had a new heater core and a new evaporator. I'd stick them in. But I don't, and we're on a budget, because we're probably gonna lose the shop from all the stupid crap that we bought recently. So this included. But anyway, I was checking these blend doors, and then I was like, what are these spring levers here for? Why doesn't this one go to one? Sure looks like there was something here. Sure enough, we got a blend door that exited stage left. So we need to try to fish that out of there and then figure out where the arm went. Yeah, I gotta check this out now because that'd really suck to be driving this thing this winter and wonder why I don't have defrost. Or I don't know that it's defrost, but we're gonna assume that's what it is. Actually, this is pretty common on these. I had to fix this on my 98. I don't remember which one it was. It was one of these two that came off, and it, yeah, was not fun to fix. But at that time, I didn't know how easy it was to take the dashes out of these things. They're not bad. I'm still impressed with that. So, hey, I wonder if it's the same as this other one. What is this? No, no. Oh, I bet that arm is the same though. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna have to steal that arm off of there. What holds it on? Why do they fall off? Just pressed on? So that's the piece we're missing. So we're gonna try to fish the blend door out of this guy. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. The seals are not nearly as good on the 95 as they are on the 90. Weird, I thought this was a California rig. Not to mention that it's 5 years newer. All right, I need another sandwich after messing with this debacle. It really wasn't that bad. It took about 15 minutes. But here's what I've discovered. So I swapped everything over now. The 95 has these little crappy plastic clips that just snap in and also out of place. The 90 has these aluminum studs with these aggressive, flat, stamped clips that everybody knows are impossible to remove. So, guess what I did? I swapped those arms. I needed that one anyway. But then these lever arms, that's got a bigger hole for the crappy plastic clip. This one's smaller, so it's nice and tight. So then in the meanwhile, while I had that off, I was like, well, I might as well do the other one so that doesn't come off. And then I was like, wow, these blend doors don't have as nice as seals. So of course I swapped them over. And in the process, I broke that little tiny plastic clip that these rods ride on. So I took the motor off of here and yeah, it don't come out of there. So I don't know. And then, oh yeah, and this one is busted down here as well. What? I know. So much junk. We're not going to go pull another one out. It's going to stay on there. It'll be fine. What are the odds it comes off? If it does, remind me. Hey, Mortske, this is why the heat isn't blowing where it needs to. Just because you DD hack shop that. That guy probably doesn't even have heaters in any of his cars, except for the one that he plows snow with. All right. I'm going to have a sandwich and enjoy my... Oh yeah, I got to pull that one apart and look at the evaporator and the heater core. All right. I'm going to check that out. You guys check back on me. You want to fetch me up a sandwich? Boy, you are the best dog in the world. But if you could fetch up a sandwich, then you'd really be something. All right. She don't look too bad. There's a little bit of grain dust in there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 22 shells. Just kidding. There's more. That's like half a box of shells. Anyway, let's get this heater core out of there and we'll blow everything out and we'll check out the evaporator. Probably blow that out too. Put her back together. And this is why cleaning your HVAC box on any automobile, especially a vintage automobile, and especially any car that's sat, it's because of rodents and just years of crap. Of course, I found a couple more 22 shells, but yeah, there's our evaporator. And that stuff is packed in there. That's just grain dust. You can about imagine how efficient this thing was working when it was parked. But anyway, yeah, that's packed in there. That's been there a while. Some of this stuff looks pretty fresh. Anyway, we're gonna blow that all out of there. This is why late models have cabin filters. All this stuff is, a lot of it is just dust. So the AC is gonna be real nice in this thing. I really do wish that I had a new evaporator and heater core on the shelf, but I do not. So we're just gonna blow these out. And if we blow them out, they should be fine. I'm just worried about them leaking because now's the time we want to replace them. And they're pretty reasonable. Then again, the quality of new parts, you're probably better off just cleaning up this old stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab the blowgun, clean these out, and then we'll throw it all back together. It's gonna work flawlessly. Getting late here. It's dark. Gets dark early, but it's getting there. All right, this job really blows. Oh yeah, we can see daylight. Good enough for the girls we go with. So this HVAC box kind of slips together in two pieces over here. And when you shake it out into the trash can, it comes apart. Weird. Probably also a good time to put a new blower motor in. Like I said, parts quality.
Where's the Tylenol?
Another Mortske rant. Comment down below if you want to see a Mortske rant on new parts that are no good. I'm pretty sure Wes told me that was a big reason that he got out of doing customer work, is because he was eating a lot of labor and troubleshooting on new parts that we had. It's not good. I would not want to be in the automotive customer repair business. More crap just keeps coming out of here. Don't put all your seals back on here, these rubber boots and stuff, because that improves the efficiency. It doesn't allow your cold and or hot air to escape. Heater vac. Heater vac, HVAC box. You know what I'm saying? Words are hard. It's sandwich 30. Heater core looks real good. Another tech tip of the day. When you take something like this apart, slam it back together like immediately before you forget where all the screws went and how it went back together. Give yourself ample time for breaks for hydrating, you know, and sandwiches and such. What's going on? What's your problem? GM had to assemble this thing. I'm pretty sure they got the guy who designed the Rubik's Cube to piece this together. It's a bit more complicated than it needs to be, in my opinion. I know Henry Ford would have never let this fly. All right, HVAC box, half a restoration complete. This is why I don't restore anything, because you could probably spend an entire weekend restoring one of these things, cleaning and resealing, testing, and anyway, no restorations around here. I mean, 4 out of 10 here, DD Speed Shop style. If he were to put heat and AC in any of his cars. All right, it's sandwich 30, so see you tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. We're gonna probably wrap this video tomorrow because we are about out of time. All right, we are back at her doing OBS things this fine morning. I think we're ready to stick our HVAC box in there, and then we can put our dash wiring in there, and we can put our ECU in there and hook that up, and then we can put the dash in and the steering column, and at least with the steering column in it, we can steer it and kick it out of here, and we'll get back to it another time. But really, I don't think it'll be too bad to hook everything up that we got. The hard part is gonna be getting the trans cooler and the front wire harness for the headlights and all the headlights and stuff into here. And I think we got to get the fuel pump and the fuel pump wiring and the taillight wiring out of that, put into here. So that's going to take some more time. All the 90 to 95 crossover stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, all that stuff. And then we got to find a low radiator hose that isn't cut in half. Yeah. And we got to get the front clip off of that one so that we can get the hoses disconnected for the AC compressor and the condenser so that we can put that in there so that we can get a belt on it. So anyway, it's just a whole bunch of back and forth. Speaking of back and forth, check out this 400 we got from Uncle Terry. This thing he had stashed away in a, not a granary, in a grain bin. And so a cousin and I, we had to lift it over like an 18-inch threshold on a 2-wheel cart, and my back still hurts from it. But anyway, figured out why he was saving it. So this is a 509 block, 395-1509. It's got what? 2 freeze plugs. Everybody wants to know if it's got 3 or 2 or 4 bolt, 2 bolt. She's a 2 bolt. It's a 1976, 175 horse engine. Virgin cylinders. The bearings are 5,000ths. GM dated 8 of 74. Somebody's going to say, but Mortske, you said it was a virgin block. It can't be a virgin block if it's got 5,000ths bearings. Well, yes, it can, because when they made this engine in 1974, I suppose, there must have been somebody found a scratch or something on the crank. So instead of just scrapping that crank or hucking bearings in it and hoping it made it through warranty, they turned that crank 5,000ths, put the bearings are stamped GM, 8 of 74, and they use those bearings and they put her together from the factory with 5,000ths bearings. Usually in the aftermarket when they turn those things, 10,000ths. So anyway, that thing needs board, and it needs the crank turns, so it's probably going to be a 1010 or a 2020 crank, and nobody's going to want to give us anything for it, so we'll just rat hole it, maybe build it someday, throw a cam in it, some aluminum heads, and have ourselves a 400, because there's no replacement for displacement. I think that was the biggest small block Chevrolet ever made, the 348. They actually made big blocks smaller than that. They made the 348 and the 366 and the 396. And then just barely bigger was a punch-out 396, which was the 402. Anyway, it's back to doing OBS things. We got to get this thing wrapped up like this morning, because I have things that I need to do for tomorrow. So let's stick an HVAC box in. Oh yeah, we gotta put our freaking insulation mat on the firewall. Duh! I'll go get that. Things have escalated. I wanted to run the wires for the shifter and under the carpet. Well, that turned into removing the carpet, which needs to be pressure washed anyway. But super nice floors here. Looks like somebody put some bucket seats and drilled some extra holes in here, so we'll have to fix those or not. But anyway, now we got all kinds of room to run our wires for the speakers and the dome light and the seat belts and the shifter and all that. And good time to vacuum it out. Maybe even scrub it a little bit. Anyway, let's take a crack at stabbing a dash back in this thing. That would be good. And then a column. And then maybe fit some seats back in it. And clean a carpet. And everything else. Alright, there you have it. 3 little tiny screws across the top. It pivots on these 2 pins over here, 2 bolts from the bottom. That's about all it holds the dash in these things. Pretty slick. Alright, now to just put all this back together. Radio, make a connection, slide it in. Oh, we gotta fish the antenna wire up there. That's busted anyway. Gauge cluster drops in. Headlight switch, I think just pops right in. Anyway, yeah. Let's get the steering column in it. That way we'll have crankety crank, and then we should be able to hook up our wires here. Yeah, you heard what I said. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Airbag harness. We don't need that where we're going. This is where things get interesting. This is not a direct swap, not anywhere close. Here's the pedal from the 95. Note this stud right here. Here's the pedal from the 90. It's about 3/4 of an inch shorter. And that's for, I don't know, this different brake switch they use. So that isn't so hard to swap. I think it's just gonna bolt right in. But these studs right here are supposed to line up with these holes right here, and that's what holds the dash and the column and everything. And you can see they're, I don't know, almost 2 inches too short. So I think this whole weldment, which is part of the cab, is longer. And then also this bracket slides into that weldment as well. And these holes aren't drilled in it. We should have drilled that before we popped it in place. And they hold the bottom of the steering column. So to do this right, we should be taking that whole weldment out of the other pickup, cutting the spot welds, doing the same on this one, swapping them over. That's a lot of work. Plus we gotta take this dash back out, which I got a feeling is gonna happen at some point anyway, but we're just gonna keep chugging along and see what we can do. Trial and error, good times. I'm really starting to think I should have just went and bought one of these pickups running and driving as is, but we enjoy being miserable and you guys enjoy watching it, so keep plugging away. All right, this is a 32 Ford. She's a heavy axle. Looks like she's had some alignment work done. Anyway, they're the cool ones to drop. So that's why we're getting the blacksmithing out of our system for today. You ever shoot a horse before?
No.
You ever ridden a horse?
Yes.
How do you think we got to school?
Yeah. How do you think we got to school? Watch out, hill, boy.
Chin's over here, he's picking away at the front end of this thing. We got to get the HVAC stuff, the compressor, the lines, that tranny cooler out of there. Looks like you already fetched that out of there. We're gonna get the headlights and the brackets. Hopefully we don't have to swap the core support. And then I guess we're gonna have to do something with that brake pedal support. We could get crazy and do all the airbag stuff and the ABS stuff, but I hope we don't get that involved. All right. Keep plugging away. So I think that's where we're gonna wrap this thing up. We got more than a week's worth of time and labor and dragging stuff around in this thing. She's getting close. It's all the nitpicky stuff that takes forever. The 90 to 95 stuff. We got the engine set in place. Drive shafts are in. Radiator hoses are hooked up. Radiator's hooked up. We gotta do our tranny cooler lines yet. We gotta do our front lighting. We gotta do a little bit of electrical yet. Wrap up the AC compressor and the lines, and then we should be able to put a belt on it. We're gonna have to pull the tank out of that one and probably the wiring and swap that over to this one, which that way we should get a good fuel pump because it was running when it rolled over and it looked like somebody cut a hole in the bed floor and put one in not too long ago. We'll find out. So we got to swap all that stuff over, and then we got to do exhaust. We don't have good exhaust because the catalytic converter was cut off this one and it's missing stuff. So we'll probably have to go get another pickup and steal the exhaust or buy something or make something, who knows what, but that's where we're gonna leave it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Go check out mortske.com for that awesome merch. We got the ball caps. Chin's repping the low life today, the mustard life, and these guys are going with me. We're giving away screwdrivers with every order of these things this week on the dates listed below. Order a ball cap, you get a mystery screwdriver. Duff's getting all cleaned up for the weekend. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. These OBSs are, I love them. They're freaking awesome. As you can tell, we've been hoarding a bunch of them. We got the little 92 short bed 2-wheel drive that actually came from Oklahoma that I love. I just drove that thing yesterday to my chiropractor appointment. Almost spilled my croil. And we got the rollback, which is a 98 Chin. He's got a 97 or 8. Harvey is an 8, he says. Extended cab, 4-wheel drive. So he's big dog with a Vortec 5.7. It's a absolute rust bucket. But what was it? 800 bucks?
Yeah, 750.
750.
It's got 20, so I keep them cleanish.
Cleanish. Yeah, 20s with big old knobby hand cooks when it'll start. Stupid security.
It does start all the time, but I only start it once a week.
So yeah, I really like these pickups. They're a lot better pickup than a square body. The doors seal, they got better electric windows, you got fuel injection, overdrive, you can get ABS, FM radio is pretty much standard, shoulder belts, nicer seats, cruise control, like a lot of stuff became standard on these things that weren't on the other ones. So that's why I like these things in there. I want to say affordable, but they're getting there. So it's hard to find. That's why I picked this one up. The body is why I wanted this one. Regular cab, short bed, basically rust free. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. This is a lot of work. We got a lot of work left to do. We'll probably pick away in the background and give you guys some updates and maybe some other videos, or maybe we'll do another video of getting this thing running. We'll see how things go. We got to get this thing running because snow could be around the corner anytime now. I'd like to put ASRO start in this thing so we can push a button, drink my coffee inside, and go outside and have a nice warm pickup ready for Duff and I to go run the mail for all the merch into town. And Chin can use it too, so. All right, remember, it doesn't matter to get it done as long as you're having fun. OBS 90 to 95 wiring and structural integrities and amazingness. Real fun. If anybody tells you putting a 95 dash in a 90 is easy, they are lying.